positions, though.
Yes.
Like, even though we went at it, even me and Ish on the Snow Bunny thing, we went at it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it felt like all love in there.
Yeah.
Like when I left, I didn't feel that there was any animosity with anyone. When I left out, I said, you know what, that was all right. You know what I mean? We went at it, but it was still love in it.
You know the value.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Please like the video and subscribe. Our target is only 1,000 likes. Relationships have always been a cornerstone of human experience, but the way we form them, maintain, and even end them has evolved dramatically in the modern era. Technology, shifting societal norms, and changing expectations have redefined what it means to be in a relationship. Technology has revolutionized how we meet and interact with potential partners. Though it's made it easier to meet with potential partners, it also poses new challenges. Traditional gender roles have been redefined in modern relationships. Women are increasingly independent, and men are more open to expressing vulnerability. This shift has led to more egalitarian partnerships, where responsibilities like childcare, housework, and financial contribution are shared. Modern relationships often emphasize individuality and personal growth. While this is healthy, it can sometimes create tension when partners struggle to balance their personal goals with the needs of the relationship.
You know what I'm saying? So I think they can kind of anticipate certain things that you're going to stand on and kind of develop a strategy or a
I can see that.
Right.
That's kind of common though across platforms. But I'll say this though, at the Joe Budden podcast, even though they stood on their squares, I also felt they was very respectful of my positions though. Like, even though we went at it, even me and Ish on the Snow Bunny thing, we went at it. But at the end of the day, it felt like all love in there. Like when I left, I didn't feel that there was any animosity with anyone. When I left out, I said, you know what, that was all right. You know what I mean? We went at it, but it was still love in it.
You know the value you brought to Joe. Listen. The value you brought to, because see, Joe,
I mean, he was already doing well though.
Yeah, but this is a different game. See, this is what I'm saying. This is no longer about points, right? It's like they put points up. He's running the game I'm running, which is a subscription model game.
Okay.
If you notice, your interview never came out for a long time on YouTube. Word is in the industry, behind the scenes, that it was upwards of tens, 20 of thousands of new subscriptions.
Okay.
Which is it's a substantial amount of money, right? And so that value you bring, that dynamic you bring is always so valuable. And I just want you to know that, which I know you know. But again, the debate style thing they done with you came from what we had just done with Dion, right? It was like, it was more so because people don't want to disrespect you, right? They think that but I know you want us, so we can have these conversations like you say and disagree on something, move to the next subject, agree on that subject, agree on the next one, disagree on that one, and I know you invite the discourse. But yeah, man, you brought a lot of value to that platform, and I just wanted to know, you know, moving forward, how you felt about going on there.
Oh, I didn't mind. I'm looking forward to the return.
Okay, great.
They all right with me.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It was a good conversation.
Great. Now, Piers Morgan, is that off the tape?
It depends on what he wants to talk about and who he want to talk about it with. In other words, if that would have been me on that panel, I would have kind of felt like it was a waste of my time. You follow me? Because that other brother who was up there from Fresh and Fit, they invited me to their platform. I don't know if they still together anymore.
Yeah, they still together.
Okay, but they invited me about a year or two, and I didn't go. And the reason I didn't go is right before I received their invitation, somebody sent me a clip of a black woman, young sister, who was on a panel, and they got into a disagreement or an argument. I don't know, was it a fist fight?
Yeah, they put their hands on that girl.
Yeah,
like physically removed.
So when I saw that, I couldn't. It's one thing to say, I don't want to date black women.
Yeah.
Completely disrespectful for a black man to say, but I might still tolerate you.
Right.
But if you go to the point where you are absolutely berating and disrespecting a sister on your platform, even going so far as to allegedly put hands on her, I can't give you my energy.
Right.
Because I know when I interview with you, everybody who follows Dr. Umar wants to see it.
Right.
This week alone, I've gotten at least a dozen texts from supporters who saying, Dr. Umar, I done watched everything on YouTube. When your next interview? You know, my biggest probably my biggest constituency base amongst my supporters might be the long haul truck drivers, bro.
Yes.
You feel me?
Yeah.
I hear from the long haul. They say, Doc, you take me from Florida to California, right? So they'll text me and be like, yo, where the next interview at?
Yes.
I done watched these 20 times. I need some new Dr. Umar. So to your point, I do know that my supporters are waiting for the next interview. You know what I mean? So my thing is I got to be conscious of that. I'll give it to you. Like, I probably turned down at least a dozen podcasts because I felt that you have made it crystal clear that you don't respect black people if they're Caucasians, right? Andrew Schultz. Somebody said he wanted me. Somebody sent me a clip where him and Shannon Sharp. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to misspeak about the man. But I think it was a conversation he had with him and Shannon Sharp or somebody where he kind of said something disrespectful about black women. I forget what it was, but I do remember in the moment, I said that was a bit too far. I can't go on that platform.
Right.
If you didn't,
you and Schultz have always had this funny relationship
because I don't know him, right? But because my time on the Breakfast Club, because him and Charlemagne have a podcast together, right?
Yeah,
and so Charlemagne was the first one to say, he wants you on there.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, but he got to pay, right? So then finally, when they came to me and say, okay, we'll pay, I'm like, all right, I might do this. And then I see the clip with him and Shannon, or maybe it was somebody on his show. Right. I forget where it was, but he said something disrespectful about black women. Yeah. And I said, because what he said, in my opinion, cut too low. If you cut too low, I'm not bringing you my listening audience. Yes. I'm not saying you need it. Yeah. You're already doing fine. Yeah. But you're not going to have the benefit of mine too, and you disrespecting my community.
And both things together is what makes the explosion, right? You need heat and cold to make a tornado.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Yeah. So when those mashups are way more powerful than just, we're doing another episode this week. No, Umar and Andrew Schultz would be a moment. Yeah, it's like that's a moment. And
at first, right? He said they didn't pay their guests. I said, you really think? You really think Dr. Umar Ifatunde, the #1 black scholar in the world, #1 Pan-Africanist, it ain't even close, or #2 Pan-Africanist, because I'm going to give #1 to President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, right? So the #2 Pan-Africanist, #1 in the West, and you think I'm going to come and give you a conversation that we know going to go viral.
Oh, my God.
That you're going to get paid on.
A bunch of money.
And you think I'm coming for free. I said,
guess why the expectation is that? It's because the other black scholars in those positions that you are in will charge us
and go to the white man for free. Not me. In fact, you got to pay more. You understand?
That's why we love Umar.
Most of the podcasts I've turned down have been white, and they've offered nice amounts, but I can't do it because I've seen you say and do things that to me was too deep of an aspect of disrespect that would allow me to sit down and have that conversation.
So do you think Schultz is racist? I
believe all white people are racist. So that's not the question. The question is, do I think Schultz is a bigot? Right?
Yes.
Racism is what? Complete control and domination for your group of resources, opportunities, and privileges. ROP. That's it. It has nothing to do with how I feel about Loon. It has nothing to do with how I feel about Dr. Umar. You understand?
Right.
I want white people to have the advantage always when it comes to resources, opportunities, and privileges. It's not personal. It's business.
Yes.
The business of political, economic control and domination.
Yes.
That's all racism is. Bigotry is when you bring in that emotional component. Bigotry is when you made it personal. Bigotry is when you say, I not only want white people to dominate the resources, opportunities, and privileges. The reason I want them to dominate is because I think black people are monkeys. I want them to dominate because I think they are inferior. I want them to dominate because I think God invented them to be our slaves. You see that? That's bigotry. Racism ain't personal. Bigotry is.
Wow.
Is Schultz a bigot? I don't know. I don't want to misspeak on him.
Yeah, because I don't know him well, but I've been in his presence a couple of times. You know, me and Charlemagne has business together with iHeart, so I've been on Brilliant Idiots, and I've been in his vicinity. I don't think he's racist, but I don't know what's going on with him. Or
bigot.
Your definition of racism,
right?
I understand, so I can't.
Right. You say you don't think he's bigoted.
I don't think he's bigoted. Yeah. Okay. So, but that's for you to examine, and that's for you to distinguish as it pertains to your feelings that approach to how you gather your information. You know what I'm saying?
And let me say this to you. A big reason why I haven't been on these popular white podcasts is because I understand racism and how it operates. No matter what you learn from me, you're not going to change your ways, because there's no Caucasian on earth that's going to abdicate their white privilege so black people can get a fair opportunity. So for me, it's almost a waste of time to have a conversation about race and racism with white people, because you're never going to change.
Yes.
You do not change racism. You destroy it. You see that? So when I sit back and I get these invitations from these white podcasters, I know what y'all want to talk about. Y'all want the Dr. Umar shock moment, and y'all willing to pay me for it. That's all right. But at the end of the day, I value my time. And for me to sit down and have conversations about race and racism with people who are never going to stop being racist is a waste of my damn time.
That's a fact.
I have nothing to prove to Caucasians.
And that's